girl, I'm from Jersey. Okay, there is
Hold on,
nothing.
it was the
There
okay.
is
Careful.
there is no white woman that is like more feisty than I am.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I mean, I'm definitely the wrong one if that's the case. She is who she. And look, if you have problems with your mama, that's on you. You got to go get counseling for that. Let's not put that on someone else. Let's not put that on a black woman, please.
So I just think it's a woman thing. You just pick. Just say you like white women or you like dating everything else but black women. Just be honest, but don't
Hmm.
downplay us saying that we're just overly dramatic. We're just not your type, and that's okay.
With black women from the beginning, there's an energy. From the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk to like say 10 white women. Hey, happy Saturday. How's your day going? Hey, my day's going good. How are you doing? Let's say maybe 80% of them respond that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
10 black women, same question, 80% of them, good you. Up top, you see what I'm saying? If you think, put yourself in a man's position.
What's up, everybody? My name is Mel, and welcome to Life Coaching by Mel. Here at Life Coaching by Mel, we speak truth regarding the nuclear family. And if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get each and every one of my videos. Hit that like button for me. Hit me in that comment section. Today is going to be an invigorating conversation that I know you want to contribute to. And be sure to share this with at least one person. Let's get into today's topic. All right. Appreciate that question. That answer got great points there. Let's move over to our next one. Now, y'all kind of hit on this a little bit, so we're going to go on it directly. It's often said that black men date, marry outside of their race due to the negative attitudes, behaviors of black women. First off, do you agree with this? If not, what is the more common reason in your view? We're going to start with Tamara.
So
Take your
it's so
time. Take
funny
your time.
because, well, no, because I was just thinking, because me and my husband were just having this conversation, right? And I was like telling him I was gonna come on here and talk about this, and I wanted to get his standpoint because I even asked him. I said, "Did you ever date outside your race?" He said, "Well, I haven't been in a. He's dealt with women outside of his race before we got married, but he's never been in a serious relationship." And I was like, "Well, why do you think black men tend to date outside their race? Because again, men talk differently, when women ain't around and." So he was just like, yeah, temperament. Some of the black guys that date outside the race, they don't really care for our temperament. But I had recently had a conversation with a family member of mine, and her siblings date outside, their race. And I was like, well, I said, did y'all ever have a conversation about it? And she was like, yeah, she said, I asked him, and same thing, temperament. It's the temperament. Like they feel like white women are probably a little bit more calmer. They're a little bit more willing to cooperate with you. And I think it's all about, but I've also seen some feisty white women, so I can't even say that's just a white woman thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just think you're picking the temperament that you like. It's just like you think all black women act dramatic and all black women aren't the same. Like,
Hmm.
to call Joy out, Joy would not be acting dramatic. Okay, Joy is not the dramatic black woman. So I'm a little dramatic, so that's why I call myself that. I'm a little dramatic, but I just when I look at Joy, she's very professional. You know what I'm saying? And she looks like she can hold her own. She's very cautious about what she says. She's very intelligent. Like meeting a woman like that, yeah, I don't think she's what they would call the average black woman. But then I've also met white women, in my opinion, that are more dramatic than black women. So I just don't think that's a fair assessment, in my opinion, to say that black women are a little bit more dramatic. We do have our own little flair. We do have our own little things about us the same way white women have their own little things about them. So I just think it's just about gravitating to what you want. But don't just discredit black women as a whole because you feel like we're just all so dramatic. We're hard to control or we
Hmm.
don't cooperate like we're supposed to. My husband even said, like, some men like that, but he
Hmm.
wanted a woman that would stand up for herself. Like, don't always go with what I'm saying. If I'm saying something wrong, check me on it. Don't just sit here and just follow the leader if I'm leading you down a hole, that's not the right path. So he just wanted somebody that was going to speak up for themselves, and black women tend to do that. But I also feel like white women tend to do that. So I don't know. I just think I just think it's your preference. Like honestly, now that I'm
Yeah.
talking through this, I feel like we all, women are women. Women are dramatic. Women are emotional. Women, you just gotta deal with more women outside your race. And I think as a woman, I'm in circles where I'm around all types of women. I'm around white women, Hispanic women, Asian women, Middle Eastern women, and I have seen feistiness in every ethnicity. And that's why I'm like, well, what are y'all picking up? And then if you're saying black women are not able to calm down or give you what you need, then those are the type of women you see either immersing yourself with. That's the type of content that you're looking at. But all of us are not like that. All of us are really not like that. So I just think it's a woman thing. You just pick, just say you like white women or you like dating everything else but black women. Just be honest, but don't
Hmm.
downplay us saying that we're just overly dramatic. We're just not your type, and that's okay.
Hmm.
Look, Ashley,
All right, Ashley, since you humming, go ahead.
Yeah. So 100%, Tamara, I agree with you. My thing is, as a feminist, which I think everyone should be because it's about equality, right? But as a feminist, I don't think that I like men blaming women for anything. You know what
mm-hmm,
I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
So, and I have heard this narrative of black men saying, "Oh, people are more agreeable," or Hispanics are more agreeable, or whatever it is. Girl, I'm from Jersey. Okay, there is
hold on,
nothing.
it was the
Yeah.
okay.
There is
Careful.
there is no white woman that is like more feisty than I am.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I mean, I'm definitely the wrong one if that's the case. But yeah, I've heard that narrative, and I'm like, you know what? Let's not blame women. Like you said, just say what it is. Just say she looks better to you, and you like her personality more, or she has the body that you prefer. I don't know, but let's not blame black women
Or their temperament. Yeah, let's
for
not
their
do that.
temperament. She is who she. And look, if you have problems with your mama, that's on you. You got to go get counseling for that. Let's not put that on someone else. Let's not put that on a black woman, please.
Oh, all right, Phil.
All right, praise the Lord, everybody.
Come
All
on,
right,
Phil.
well,
Come
I'm gonna
on,
take it from a different angle. First, to start off with, I will say nothing is ever all conclusive, right? Nothing is ever all women, all men, right? So even some things I might say may say black women, but it's obviously not all black women. Everything is about law of large numbers, right?
Phil.
So to your point, Tamara, when a man is saying it's about temperament, I feel like temperament is even a nice word. Now, let me give a backstory.
Mhm.
I've dated all races. I'm in these streets, I'm single, right? So I've dated all races and I've been on, dating sites and I'm very big on communication. So
Mhm.
I ask the same questions to the different women, like the same opening question, right? And the biggest thing I have noticed from the women I've dated and those I've chatted with, I never even met in person, with
Mhm.
black women from the beginning, there's an energy from the beginning. I
Mhm.
could talk to like say 10 white women. Hey, happy Saturday. How's your day going? Hey, my day's going good. How are you doing? Let's say maybe 80% of them respond that way, right?
Mhm.
10 black women, same question, 80% of them, good you. Up top, you see what I'm saying? If you think, put yourself in a man's position. Up top, now there's nothing to go off of. We've not even got to know each other. This is just opening conversation.
Right.
And there's already that. And then as you continue to talk, if you say anything that disagrees with them, instantly you know that conversation is about to be over because it's taken personally. This is even in social media, right? I just had a conversation on online. I love to get on threads on whether it's YouTube or Instagram or whatever and chime in. There was Rick Ross posted a video with this girl he's dating now with some about she cooked for him, right? He posted a picture of the food and he says, now pay attention to my words. Fellas, is she a keeper if she can't cook? Once again, fellas, is she a keeper? Who's he talking to?
The fellas.
Fellas, right? Get in the comment. Guess who's most of the people you see in the comments? There
Black
might
women.
be more black women in the comments than men. Now, there's nothing wrong with jumping in and maybe asking a question, chiming in the topic, but it became castigating him for his past relationship and all this stuff. So I jumped into one of the people that responded, one of the black women that responded, and I simply asked, he was talking to the men. The fact that you're even responding and judging him and all this says more about you than him.
Mhm.
Guess what her response was? Oh, I'm tired of you zesty men. It becomes an insult to the man.
Oh, The
See, this is
sexuality
where I said that
thing.
temperament is too nice. One of the biggest things we notice, you can't have just a civilized, honest disagreement without disrespect.
With those
So it's
type of
not
black
so
women.
much feisty, it's the communication and the word choices. There
Hmm.
is this automatic assumption that if I disagree with you, as a black woman, if I disagree with you, I have to insult you. I have to hit you. It's either you're gay, you're zesty, or you're hurts, what one of those. And all the person is asking a question. So
Hmm.
that's where the issue comes in, where with other races, and once again, it's not all inclusive, it's just law of large numbers. Other races will be more open to have the conversation even if they disagree with you, it's how they disagree. So that's one of the things. The other part of it is cooperation, willingness to compromise. And so I'll never forget I was having this conversation. This chick was Spanish, and we are talking about dating. And then I was telling her about kind of my experiences with black women and other races. And she was like, I guess that makes sense because she has a friend who's a black guy. They had to go somewhere. She pulled up to his house to pick him up, and he was running late. So and she was like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna iron your shirt for you while you're getting ready. He froze, and she's looking at him like, what's wrong? He's like, a black woman would never do that. You sort of say now, once again, it's not all black women, but this is
Yeah.
just a friend. He's not even dating her. But she
Hmm.
didn't see the big deal. She's like, I'm just helping you. That's just kind of an example of kind of the things we see as black men dating other races, where other races don't see it as a big deal to pitch in to help. Where with a black woman, you just get this energy from the beginning of the conversation. If you disagree with her, it becomes insulting. It's just you just don't want to deal
Hmm.
with it. Now, me personally, if I had to choose all things being equal, I had to choose a race, I'd choose a black woman. I love a beautiful black woman. But there is no doubt that there's a difference in the ego, the arguments when it's not necessary. You feel like you're fighting, even when you shouldn't have to. Even when you're just quiet and like I'm a person that will speak my mind, but I'm never disrespectful. But even when it's just a question of, hey, why this or why, then it becomes instant change. So like I
Hmm.
said earlier, it's not all black women, but
Hmm.
when your husband Tamara was talking about temperament, that's kind of what he's referring to.
Yeah.
It's how you say something, not
Yeah.
that you're speaking up for yourself, but how you do
You
it.
say
Is
your
it just
tone and
your
your
tone,
energy.
and are you doing casting aspersion or castigating the man just
Hmm.
because you disagree with the man? So
Hmm.
Hmm.
that's kind of
I
the
agree with that.
experience I've had.
I agree with that. I do think my post sisters, Lord. I know I be trying, man. I know, Phil. I know. There sometimes their temperament do be embarrassing me. There's not, but like I said, there's some emotionally intelligent black women out there. There's some
Mm.
of us that can
Definitely,
have a conversation
definitely.
and without taking things so personal. But I
Hmm.
think when you're especially like when you're out on social media, you're gonna find more people that are not emotional intelligence. So
Hmm.
you're gonna get a lot of reactionary
Yeah.
based,
Right.
responses. Even when you're talking about energy. Now I feel I kind of agree because it's gonna be a new video I'm about to post. I had made a video a couple it was like last year I think, and black women tend to have a problem with a man asking them to smile, and I think that is fucking crazy.
Man.
Okay, and let me and I just why are you upset about somebody trying to lift your spirits up by asking you to freaking smile? Like, I just took it as a compliment. Like, somebody just was trying to lift my spirits. Hey, you too pretty,
Hmm.
not to smile. But what was
Hmm.
interesting, I had saw a video today, matter of fact, and it was this black woman going around. I think she was in Walmart, and she was like, "Hey, King." Every black man she saw, "Hey, King, you are just too handsome not to be smiling." No backlash. You know
No
what they
backlash, right?
did?
I was just
They
about to say
started
that.
blushing. They
I
started
appreciate it.
smiling, and I feel like that should be the natural reaction when somebody tells you to or asks you to smile. Not tell, Lord, let me not say tell. When they ask you to smile, and that's why I was like, when somebody had asked me to smile, I take it as a compliment. Like you're just trying to lift my spirits. I don't read too
Hmm.
much more into it, or just simply say, "Oh, I apologize. I just have a lot on my mind," and then you just kind of laugh it off. But it was just and then when I posted that video, how many black men, well, why do I gotta smile? Why I gotta appease them? Why I gotta? And I'm like, well, why can't you? Why can't you? Like, what is the problem? Like,
Hmm.
I was like, why is somebody telling you to smile a problem? Well, I don't have to prove that I'm happy to anybody. Well, if you were truly happy, I don't
Right.
feel like that would be your natural reaction.
Right.
So I'm a happy person. Like y'all, I am so friendly. I'm very personable. I talk to everybody. So yeah, I'm very much a people person. So yeah, when I've had those interactions, I never looked at them as a negative
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
connotation. I always looked at it as like a, how is smiling negative? I
Right.
just I just don't get it. So I can see where you're coming from
Mm-hmm.
in that regard. Or, yeah, the moment that you mention, certain type of black women, now it's, oh well, all black women ain't like that. Like I could call out black women. Well, I don't like the way you said that. Okay, let's be
Right.
logical here, sis. Let's be logical. If I'm talking about a particular type of black woman and I'm calling out black women, I'm clearly not talking about myself. So I'm not talking about every black woman. It's just the stupidity that comes
Right.
with, you just trying to speak in general. So when you said that, I was like, some black women, because I know how black women gonna be. So I try
Yeah.
to add that at the end of
Yo.
one of your statements.
Right.
Because I know that's what they come with. They miss the whole message because
Right.
they feel like you didn't specify it's a particular group. We're very sensitive.
Yep.
And I think to a certain degree, black women are very sensitive because we had to, yeah, I feel like we got to work a little harder at times.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're operating off of trauma,
Hmm.
Right.
off of unhealed trauma.
Right.
We're always on a defense. I think we feel like we've been hurt, by our own men, so to speak, and or
Right.
we're not supported by our own men. So I think that's where that comes from. Where there
Right.
might be some validity in that for some women, yeah, I just don't think, yeah, that's not an all black woman thing.
Right.
And there's more toxic women than there are good women. I'll admit that. So yeah, Phil, I'm not surprised that you're that's
Yeah.
what you're coming across, because there's not a lot of emotional intelligent women. There's not a lot of women that can control their emotions and manage it. It's kind of like finding a rare gem. Like it really
100%.
is. And that's something that takes, effort. And she has to be open and willing to, try. And a lot of women are just black women are guarded off top because they don't want their time wasted.
100%.
Um, so I think that's kind of where it comes from. But yeah, I can't. You right, Phil. I know.
I
I know.
think that so like yeah, and I feel like to your point, like obviously there's a lot of men, women, everybody deal with some kind of trauma. Usually that causes that. But I
Mhm.
think the problem is when certain black women think that their past hurt justifies their present
Oh,
behavior.
I agree.
You
I
right?
agree.
So now because you've been hurt by some other guy, you feel like that justifies how you treat men going forward. Like if we
Hmm.
all did that and treated people based on our past hurts, we'd all be single. You know what
Correct.
I mean? So it's
Correct.
still the onus and responsibility is for you to do the work and get healed. Like, don't be
Mhm.
on a dating site if you're not healed. You're not ready. Don't be looking for men when you're not ready. Like, because
Hmm.
technically, it's not my responsibility that you're hurt. It'd be like if I was going to buy a car and you were selling me a car, so you're supposed to picture how beautiful it is, right? And I pull up to see the car, and there's a big old dent on the right side that you didn't show. And then you look at me like, well, no, it wasn't my fault. It was parked, and then somebody hit. I don't care. No, I don't want a damaged car. That's your responsibility
Right.
to fix that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
just because it wasn't your fault that the car got damaged doesn't mean I should accept that. And so the
Mhm.
same thing, everybody has to do the work and be healed before getting to deal with other people from a romantic perspective, because being hurt does not justify disrespecting or hurting other people.
Oh, I agree. And you shouldn't be on no dating site either. Because how you supposed to find
100%.
somebody that want to deal with that if you are dealing with hurt? Nobody should be dealing. You're gonna deal with people's certain baggage when it comes to people, but it should be something like that. Like that's something
Mhm.
that you should definitely learn to heal from. And I can't even say heal from, because healing is just a continuous journey.
Right.
Like you don't
Yes.
ever stop healing. But you got to be in a zone where we see you trying and putting in effort. I even had to calm down. Like, I just think, your environment, what you see, what you're around, I've had to learn to, calm down myself. Me and my husband had to work through something. Bless his little heart. So, I just it's a learning process. But you got to be committed to, wanting to be better for yourself and your potential partner. That should be the goal. So, but
Hmm.
Nice.
Ashley, you
We
got
forgot
black.
about Ashley.
I'm about to say I was gonna ask Ashley a direct question. You
Yeah.
have you have black female friends?
I I do and I don't. A lot of them are just family members now, but I used to, in college and my young adult life in my 20s, when I had friends and not just was a mom, I definitely had a lot of black girlfriends for sure. Yeah.
The only reason why I asked that, because I was curious, like if you had black friends now how they feel about your relationship. Do they have a problem with it? Do you or
No,
anybody
not
like
at
you would
all.
consider? Okay,
Not
okay.
at all. All my girlfriends pretty much like when me and my husband got together, they were like, well, that makes sense. Like,
Right,
so
right.
it wasn't a shock for them. I had already sort of been in the community to some degree.
Hmm.
And they never, and I forget who said it. Maybe it was Phil said, or no, I think it maybe Newsmar that said, sometimes those just, the black man isn't the one that's necessarily wanted by the black women either. And so
Hmm.
that's who my husband was. And
Oh,
also,
okay.
no white man wants me. I'm too much for a white man. so, so we really were that, like, that sort of niche, different of our own race. So we just kind of fit together.
Did you ever ask him, or did y'all ever have a conversation why he decided to date outside his race, or what made him decide that was his preference? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sort of the same things that we kind of talked about. Temperament was
Okay.
probably an issue, from his own description. But also, I think that black women just didn't choose him either. I think it was just a
Okay.
mutual.
Okay.
It's just a mutual understanding where
Hmm.
they just didn't match as well. And
Hmm.
I think he had told me a story about sort of being on a date with a black woman, and it just didn't feel organic, and it was very much like she was like, and you're gonna pay for this, and you're gonna do this, and da da da, and he was like, this is a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
See, I was gonna go there, but I left that off. I didn't want to go too far. I left
Oh,
that
okay. So
off.
that was your experience with it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it. I
But see,
tried.
but
I
see, I'm a weird one too. Because if a man tells me to smile, I'm not smiling. Like, I'm not. I'm a very, like, you're not gonna make me perform for you, sir.
Really, I just
Yeah.
that is so crazy to me because I just feel like that is such a simple, like, nice gesture. Like, I just,
Well,
but I
for the
smile
record,
all the
I'm always.
time.
I was gonna say I smile constantly. So if
Yeah.
I if I'm not smiling and you're like, I need you to smile, I'm like, not for you, not today.
But it's just, but then that was just so interesting. But I think seeing the guys' responses to that, it was just kind of made it seem like, well, what are we really upset about when people say
Mm,
that? Because I mean, wait till I post this doggone video. You can tell that men don't get approached like that a lot, or men are not complimented, a lot like that. So for to have somebody not only give them a compliment, and
yeah.
then asking him to smile, all of them smiled, all of them blushed, all of them kind of
Uh-huh.
showed her some type of love back, and you're not going to get that from women. I feel like women sometimes overthink things. Like, nobody's thinking more of the situation than what we do sometimes. And so that's why I
100%.
try to be a little bit logical about it. Like, I'll even have, I'll get approached when I'm out and about. But I don't make more of it. I'll let them know I'm married. They might give me compliments. I appreciate it. And, I keep it moving. Like, it shouldn't be a thing where nobody has to tell anybody anything. And I think, like, if nobody ever complimented you, that would impact you. Like, if nobody ever said
100%.
anything nice to you, nobody ever approached you, nobody ever said you were handsome or beautiful, or that would mess with people. And so we
Mhm.
can't complain when people go out their way to try to, show you some love here and there. I think we all need love. And a lot of times, like you said, if I'm not in the mood, well, maybe you needed that.
Mhm.
Maybe y'all crossed paths because you needed your spirits lifted. And why would we
Mhm.
shun away somebody trying to be nice to you? That's
Mhm.
how I look at it. But
Mhm.
Ashley, do your thing, girl. We know you feisty. So.
Appreciate you.
Spirit of
um,
the conversation, ladies and gentlemen.
mhm.
I love it. I love it. Let's go on to our next question here. With the history of racism in America, what considerations should this type of couple have? We're gonna start with Ashley on this one.
Oh gosh. You're gonna start with me on this one. Oh gosh.
Because you know
What
firsthand.
what considerations should we have? Okay, so kind of what I touched on earlier. I think that we have to have the hard conversations, right? We have to say this is what the world looks like. And I think I gave Mel this a sort of like idea. I text him about sort of what I was going to say on different things. But one of them is we don't raise our children like based on what they ooh flies. Excuse me. Oh my god. Sorry.
Whoa,
A
that was
fly
a bit. That
just
was a
got. Did
fly.
you see that?
Yes,
That
that
was
looked like the one that was
rude.
on the former vice president doing a debate. Remember that one flew?
That was an aggressive one. Ew. Anyway, um, but I think we don't raise our children to be like, oh, tell a lie, therefore I'm going to treat them like they're a liar, and now everything that they say and do, I'm going to be like, well, you don't want to be a liar. Like, that's not how we treat our children. We treat them the way that we want them to be, right? And that's kind of what you need to do inside your relationships and inside your family, is like, we can acknowledge there's racism in America. It goes in all directions, but it's particularly been a not great road for Black Americans, African Americans, and we can acknowledge that. But we don't want to go through life like over correcting that and bringing that narrative into our own home, right? So we have to have these hard conversations. We need to talk about it. We need to be open about it. But we have to bring it back and say, what do we want our family to look like? What are the values that we want our family to represent and to have in our home? What's the narrative of our family? And then that's how those are the decisions that we make. That's what we act off of, because we're not going to give power to that narrative in the world. We're going to change it, and it starts with us, right? So
Good stuff. Phil.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's the more reason why we have to be more understanding, more inclusive, and respect people's choices. Because that's all racism was people being forced to do things against their will and not just treating people different based on color. And so, if we are treating people different because they're dating other races, it's basically the same thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so, there has to be that respect of people's choices. There has to be understanding of what people are dealing with already, being in those relationships, and being more understanding. You can have an opinion about it, but just doesn't mean you have to treat them that a different way because of it. Have your opinion, keep it to yourself. Everybody has an opinion, but don't make the couple or anybody in that couple feel a certain way just because you disagree. But let's face it, it's not your life and not your relationship anyway.
mhm,
So that's how I feel about it. There should be more consideration. If anything, we should show them more love in
Mm-hmm.
those situations, considering what they have to deal with in society anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Tamara.
Um, yeah, I mean, the cultural differences have to be respected. I also find I hear from, like, just the stories I've heard from mixed children. They don't know who to identify as. They don't know whether they belong. Sometimes they're too black to, be with the white kid, to hang out with the white kids, and sometimes they're not black enough to hang out with the black kids. And you're dealing with, trying to balance that out and figure yourself out. I think that's a thing, sometimes. And I think we have to take that into consideration because they're trying to figure out their identity. Um, and I just think how it more so it impacts our kids. Now, what I do appreciate, because of our, racist history, I think we're progressing a lot better. A lot of my cousins are mixed race, so, and a lot of them, I feel like they kind of hang out with more on the Caucasian side. But again, environment, plays a role in that. So I just think we have to be open, no matter, especially in a blended world. Yeah, you're black or white, or black and Hispanic, or black and Asian. Like, it shouldn't. I don't like when people just say that they're just black, because they're not just black. So if they
mhm,
have two individual cultural, differences in the household, how am I just black when I have to respect a whole nother parent that's not of that ethnicity? I don't think that's fair. So I think we try to box, sometimes mixed races, into, one particular thing. But why do we have to do that? They should be able to dwell wherever, their parents are, each of a certain race. Why can't they be classified as either or? Like, I don't like how,
mhm,
yeah, that you have an ounce of black in you, you're black. Okay, I want to count the fact that I'm black, but let's not discredit the fact that I'm also Asian, or let's not discredit the fact that I'm also Italian. Let's not discredit the fact that I'm also Hispanic, whatever, it may be. So I really don't like how we have to mark on the box on paperwork what ethnicity we are. There's one race, it's a human race. Okay, that's what we were supposed to be. We put so much on checking boxes when sometimes people are not made to be in a box. Okay, we're
mhm.
so diverse and we have so many things that come with us. I just don't think it's fair. I think society set us up to where we have to identify as something, right? When it comes to our ethnicity, when you're a mixed race. And I just think you should be able to count for both. And that be okay. If I say that, I'm half Asian or whatever, that's not me downplaying the fact that I'm black. If I say I'm black, that's not me downplaying that my other side. So I just think there just needs to be more openness, more acceptance. Just because I'm mixed doesn't mean I belong to one particular group. Because I don't. Um, and so that's just kind of how I look at it. I just think we still have some growing to do. But yeah, I have found that kids, like mixed kids, they have a hard time sometimes because they don't understand. They're not accepted between the two worlds that they're made of, and I just think that's crazy.
I would love for
So,
Phil and Ashley because Tamara landed on something great there,
mhm,
and I was kind of hoping the
Mixed
conversation went
children.
there. So if you guys, what's your point on that? What's your stance on that? Just the fact that we got any drop, the one drop rule, they're considered black. Where's your
I
stance on that?
mean, if there's plenty of people that still stand by, they don't believe that there's systematic racism in America.
mhm,
And I think the fact that you have to check a box is the literal proof of it, because that's what you was used to downplay people's intelligence. That
correct.
was what was used to control societies. That
Hmm.
was what was used for you not to be able to get a job, for you to feel less than.
Hmm.
If you're just in the world and you're just having a good time and whatever, whatever, and then they're saying, okay, but now you need to mark what you are, you're not having fun anymore. Like, that's to control
Hmm.
you,
Hmm.
that's to like diminish your spirit so that you can't accomplish more. So you don't feel good about who you are, because of how negatively that connotation was planned and written for us, right?
Hmm.
So, um, but I think that with having mixed children is definitely complicated. I personally raise them to identify as whatever they want to identify as. My daughter does not think she's white at all. And and maybe that's my fault because I'm always like, white people crazy, and she's always like, well, good thing I'm not white.
I'm not crazy.
I'm definitely not crazy. But yeah, she identifies as what she wants to identify, and but when I take him to the doctor's office and I mark both white
Black and
and
white.
black.
Okay. Yes, you better account for both. That's what
Because
I'm talking about.
I'm
Because I
not,
was like,
yeah,
I was
I'm not playing these games. And you know
curious.
what's crazy too? Not that we're talking about Hispanic people specifically, but I think it's really interesting that sometimes we have to mark not Hispanic. I'm like, what
Ain't
is
that
that?
crazy? Like,
Like, okay, everyone else is okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's wild. It's wild out
Yeah,
here, y'all.
I agree with
well,
that.
okay,
I
well,
mean,
oh,
it's
Ashley, so let me ask you this. With your kids, how old are your kids?
So I've been married two different times. So I call them, I have my white kids and I have my dark kids. My white kids are 18 and 15, and then I got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. So the
So
the
you
mixed,
have two fully white kids and then two
correct.
mixed kids.
Yeah, I got a redhead and I got blonde hair and I
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
a
So
color
I
what do
got the
wheel.
you
whole
notice?
rainbow.
Who do you notice they're gravitating towards? Like, what kind of friends are they bringing home? Are you seeing like a diverse mix between them?
For sure. I
Mhm,
mean, as far as they're concerned, they don't see color, and not in the way that we say I don't see color, right? Like they
mhm.
respect everyone's ethnicity,
Mhm.
and they give value to everyone's ethnicity, but it's not a factor for them. They don't care.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think that more black children are attracted to my children than
Okay.
maybe white kids are,
Mhm.
but my daughter's gonna be friends with everybody. She does not care. If you're not gonna be her friend, she will make you be her friend.
Oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
do you see any so between like your two mixed ones and then your full Caucasian ones, like how is that dynamic? Is there cultural differences in that?
We're such a blended family, like,
Okay.
and that's what's so special about a mixed race family. Our
Mhm.
normal is our normal, right?
Mhm.
We're
Mhm.
used to being half white, half black. So having two white children and two black children, they just think that that's normal because mom and
Normal.
dad
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
and they don't know the difference. So my husband helped or did raise my oldest ones.
Okay.
So, and for all intents and purposes, that's their dad. So there's just my youngest one just thinks, oh, they had two white kids and they had two black kids. Like, that's just what they think,
So if your husband goes and picks up or deals or shows up, it's just him for
Yeah.
your white, your full white kids. Is that a weird? Does he have weird interactions with people? Do they look at him crazy because of that?
I think more so, you'd have to ask him that. That's interesting.
Okay.
I think more so adults.
Uh-huh.
But the kids think it's the coolest thing ever. Like,
Okay.
I don't, and this is really sad, but it's finally cool to be black, I guess, because like these kids will be like, Jude's my redhead, like, Jude, your dad really is black. We thought you were joking this whole time. And like running, like dapping my husband up and just like, we're so
Uh-huh.
good. And then my husband's so smiley and so nice. And so
Yeah.
he just, I mean, he automatically is like everyone's favorite when he walks in the room. So, I mean, the
That's
kids love
beautiful.
it. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't care about the adults, but the kids love it.
Okay. Okay.
All right,
I
Phil,
was
I
just
think you had a
curious.
thought, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything else already been said. I mean, it's obvious. It's sad that it's like, okay, if someone has a little black in them, then they're considered black, but can't be considered white. Obviously
Hmm.
that it's kind of a systemic racism thing. But I think at the end of the day, I don't have kids. If I had kids, I would raise them primarily to be confident who they are, and like what Ashley talked about, if they're mixed race, identify what they're comfortable identifying and understand its content of character, not so
Hmm.
much the color, because society makes us
Correct.
put so much emphasis on color, but it's more so about character. So yeah, I mean, I think that it's a beautiful thing when you see like them getting along with a family that's so blended, and it helps
Hmm.
them prepares them for the real world too, and what they may have to
Yes.
deal with too. So
Yes.
I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. As we wrap up today, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna give you guys an opportunity to give your final message and a potential controversial take. Feel free to let it all out, whatever you want to say here.
Oh
And
God.
just to get us kicked off good and ready, we're gonna get Phil. Phil, you go first, brother.
Thank you, Jesus. Go
Um,
ahead, Phil.
I
I know. I was like, don't.
Well, like, don't call me first.
don't even I didn't have anything intense. So it's just I was gonna sing a song, but I mean, I think we've pretty much covered the topics. I think at the end of the day, just to recap what we talked about, nothing is ever every all inclusive, right? In every race, there's issues, there's good and bad in every race and every gender. So as much as the topic is primarily focused on black men dating outside the race, like I said, there's a lot of good black women as well too. I think that's important to be talked about. So it's nothing is ever all black women or all inclusive. But it's just a reality that there is some work to be done, and we can't ignore the fact that this is a reality. And if you talk to any black men who dates different races, this is something that they deal with. There's definitely a noticeable difference in whether you call it temperament, whether you call it lack of compromise, whatever you want to call it. There's a noticeable difference. So my last take would be, particular to black women, instead of just saying love black women no matter what, ask questions, gain understanding, have
Mhm.
respectful conversations. It's okay to disagree. It's not okay to disrespect. It's one of the
Yeah.
things I always say. So you
Mhm.
don't have to agree, but you don't have to castigate. You don't have to insult the person because you disagree. You don't have to attack the person's character. You don't have to call them gay because like everything doesn't have to go that route. Be
Mhm.
willing to ask questions. So if you have questions as to why all these black men are dating outside the race, the black men did not outside the race. Ask them the question so you gain factual understanding, and maybe that can also help you in behavior, or maybe not you, but also people you meet. So when you meet your friends or other black women who have questions about the same thing, you can say, well, I talked to these men and this is what they said, and we can all help each other do better, because even black men have things they have to work on. Black men are not perfect either, you know what I mean? But based on the topic is just that there needs to be more open conversation to gain insight, gain factual understanding versus just assuming. Because some of the things I've heard too is, oh, these black men just want a woman they can control, or just want a woman to do whatever they say. The concept is just ridiculous, but this is because there's no factual understanding, and you're not asking questions to the men and getting understanding as to why they're doing what they're doing. So that's what I would say would be my final thought is, anything that you don't understand, ask questions and have that conversation respectfully so you can gain factual understanding.
Hmm.
Good stuff, Tamara.
Uh, well, I just think it's all about preference. I think you know when and I just think, the same way that I just knew, I am sorry, I just knew I was going to be married to a black man. Okay. I wanted me a black man. I tried to date outside my race. It just wasn't my thing. I
Hmm.
just, I'll admit when somebody's attractive outside of my ethnicity, but I'm not sexually, I just don't want to, I don't, that's just my preference, right? Just the same way somebody could look at somebody outside the race and they realize that's what I want. And I just think that's what it is. And I just think it's your preference. But in doing so, you don't have to downplay your own ethnicity when you do that. I think we still should be supported. You don't have to badmouth black women because, this is why I decided to date outside my race. Just do it. We just realized I didn't have a lot of chemistry with some of the black women I dated or whatever that race was. And I just happened to find love in this particular ethnicity. And that's okay. I just don't think I think we put too much into it. It's just a preference. Now,
Mhm.
in my opinion, a preference is not a standard, which means you're going off character. There could be, somebody that you come across. I might make that exception, and that can happen. So, I just think preferences are preferences, but they're not standards. And I just think you should just don't downplay your own ethnicity, when you decide to date outside your race.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's it. I think that's it. That's it, really. Yeah,
Yeah.
just do your thing and don't give your own race shit for, deciding to do your own thing.
Yep. 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 Yeah. You leave
I
these
thought it was
women
gonna be a
alone.
rhyme, like do your thing, let it swing. It was gonna rhyme.
All right, Ashley.
So one, and I'm coming from my perspective as a white woman. So one thing that I will say that's possibly controversial is that um, to be married or in a relationship with a black man as a white woman specifically, just because I'm speaking from my own truth, it has its challenges. Okay, so and part of that is that a lot of the conversations in the household are surrounded around my husband's blackness.
Mm,
And I had to bring that up. I had to be like, look, there are times where I feel unheard, unseen, unwelcomed, and because I have to give you so much attention and I understand why. I'm
mhm,
not saying I don't want to do that, and I'm not saying I don't want to understand, but I'm saying I also have my own issues, right? Like I was raised in poverty. I didn't have
mhm,
parents,
mhm.
lucky if I had a pillow sometimes, being for real.
Yeah,
So, we all have our things.
yeah.
So the conversation cannot always circle around the black man in a mixed race family. It has to be dispersed. We have to give attention to every person
Mhm,
in the house, and also counseling. You cannot get into a relationship, period, without counseling. But I think it's even more important when you're in an environment where you guys have different cultures. You need to have a counselor. So my husband and I have a black woman as our counselor, and I
oh,
mean, she is awesome because she will talk me through some of my things, but then she'll go back and be like, okay, this is a very typical black man thing, right? To my
mhm,
husband, and he'll have to be like, okay, yep, that is. And then she'll have to come back to me and be like, okay, but we have to have understanding and empathy because, and I'm like,
mhm.
yes, we do. So we have to have counseling. We have to give attention to everyone, and we have to lead with empathy. We have to.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice if you had to actually, based on your situation, what would you say to a black man who's dating a white woman, like in general? What would you say, based on your experience, that he may not think about that a white woman may be experiencing? If that question makes sense.
It does. I would prefer more
So,
specificity.
like,
Oh,
to like
that word's
what you
hard.
said when you said a little bit, like you said how there's so much effort put on you, like speaking of your husband in the household. Like, if you delve into that a little bit more specifically, like how would you want him to, in terms of behavior, to acknowledge you in that dynamic?
So
Mm.
where does he need to be more understanding at,
Okay.
essentially?
Yeah.
Okay. So, this brings up a topic of assimilation. So, when my husband and I first started dating, I would agree with him. Like he would say, it's hard being black in America, and I'd be like, it's hard being a woman in America. and
That
and
part.
and it wasn't to discredit him.
Uh-huh,
It was because I was trying to assimilate. I was trying to say I don't understand the capacity maybe or the volume in which you're feeling these
mhm.
things, but I understand to some degree what you're saying. I'm often overlooked, I'm often unheard, I'm often ignored.
Yeah.
And I'm in a bar, I'm a bartender, and when the guests leave, they don't say goodbye to me, even though I'm the one that served them the whole time. They say
Mhm.
goodbye to the gentleman partner that's with me.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay. So I can assimilate and say, I know what it feels like to feel unseen, or
Yeah.
I know what it feels like to be in a high level of servitude and not get that praise back. Like I understand what that means. So
Mhm,
that's something that we need to get counseling for because that became a topic for him where he felt like I was maybe trying to tit for tat it, or like he felt that I was trying
Oh,
to, he felt I was trying to divide us and I was trying to bring us together.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I was to talk to the next black man that's randomly in a relationship with a white woman, I would say, like, kind of the same conversation, have that empathy and do assimilation. Say, do you know how it feels when this, and this happened the other day? And
Mhm,
like somebody, bumped into you and they didn't say anything. That's sometimes how I feel in society when this or this or this happens. Have that
mhm.
assimilation conversation. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. the panelists. You guys did amazing. I appreciate you once again. And if you're watching this, I know you got something from this because I sure did. Be sure you hit me in the comment section. Contribute to this conversation. Tamara, Phil, Ashley, thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Mel. Thank you for joining my channel. Thank you for checking things out here. Oftentimes, we go on people's pages and are like, man, what is going on here? What is the purpose of this channel? So let me be clear. The purpose of this channel is to speak truth regarding the nuclear family. And when I say truth, I'm not saying my truth, not your truth, but the Lord's truth. All about the word, all about the ways and the will of God. What does he have to say about the nuclear family? And I believe the generations of today, whether it be Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever the case may be, I believe now we have a very toxic relationship regarding marriage, regarding family, regarding having children. We're in a toxic dynamic as we speak. And honestly speaking, a lot of the answers that we're looking for in our community, a lot of the cures and a lot of the answers would come from a proper, fulfilled family home. If you go down the line of everyone's individual trauma, there you will find some negligence or some type of issue that they had with their parents. So here on this channel, we address those things head on. We don't place fear in those issues and avoid the topic. We do what Jesus did. And when he said, don't assume that I came for peace, but I came with a sword. I came to turn family members against family members if it means you following me. If you have to cut them off, if you have to address them and have arguments for you to follow me, so be it. And I think at this point in our society, we're at the so be it stage. So here at Life Coaching by Mel, I'm all about bringing healing to that. And the number one way to do that is have honest conversations. So if that's something you like, that's something you're into, that's something you really want to be a part of, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to comment. Let me know what you think about everything. I do my best to respond as often as I can. I want to hear from you guys. This is not about me. It's about healing our nation, healing our states, healing our cities, healing our community, healing our homes. Love you guys. Take care.
Let's go.